Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a podcast focused on benefit auctions and fundraising events for the nonprofit community. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes. And here it is, episode number 27. Welcome back. My name is Shelby Stokes.
Kelly Schenfeld.
Polly Schenfeld here. Thanks for being here, everybody.
That's right. We're here for another week to discuss what's going on in the nonprofit fundraising community, where we are at, and who we are interacting with over the week. And it's been a little bit of a rocky week. If you're watching our video version, we are in front of a beautiful castle.
It has been a huge rocky week.
Yeah.
It has been a huge rocky week. I actually cried about this. Like real time stuff. Yeah, she is iconic. Was iconic.
Her being Queen Elizabeth has
left us.
us.
Queen Elizabeth. Everybody knows that, obviously, and we're talking about it on our podcast a little bit. But you know what? It's actually an end of something that's bigger than people think. We will never, ever have in our lifetimes, and not even in his lifetime, another reigning queen. In order for there to be another reigning queen, Prince Charles has to pass away, Prince William has to pass away, George has to have something terrible happen, and Charlotte would be the next one.
Wow.
And that was specially done by the Queen before she passed away.
Really?
To make sure Charlotte was in that order. Yeah, because it should go to, the son of George. Isn't that something?
Interesting, right?
Isn't that something?
I don't understand. How did she set up Charlotte? How did she set
It's
that up?
called I should have brought the word out here, prejuncture, oh man, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's a thing.
So wait, so she planned for Charlotte to eventually be a successor at some point?
If George doesn't have children.
Okay. That's pretty amazing.
It's amazing the stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
But, I've read
bloodlines.
Bloodlines and things like that. I've read a ton of books. It interests me because my grandmother's from there, and we're related like 32nd cousins or something.
You're royalty?
I'm royal.
Are you serious?
I've been known to be a royal.
Beep.
Do you own a plant or a plant?
I own a plant.
Do you own a plant? That's how you know your royalty is if you own plants.
No, but yeah, so it interests me. In fact, she was in Scotland yesterday. I think they may have moved her from Scotland today. But Scotland is where Fraser comes from.
Oh.
So there's a Fraser Castle there, which...
That's you.
Yeah, and my uncles and my dad are the last names on there.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
That's really neat.
And that's Balmoral Castle, right? That was Queen Elizabeth II's castle.
Yes.
You have a castle, and I'm just now finding out about
Yeah.
this?
My family has a castle.
What? Wait, how
In
have we
Scotland.
not tried to make this a vacation? We need to
Scotland.
go see
It's called Fraser
the
Castle.
castle.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty cool that I am a family
Of
member.
royal
of
bloodline.
Well, now we know.
Royal
Now
bloodline. Now it all makes sense.
That's right.
But, so anyway, that was kind of, I appreciate, Paul, you putting that picture up. I love that. Thank you for that. That's cool.
She's always impressed me too. I don't know as much as you do, but I know a little bit. And just being reigning queen for 70 years, and the reason that she got put into that in the first place, because her uncle wanted to marry an American woman, and they said no. So just the whole story of him abdicating the crown, he gave up to be king.
He did.
That's how she got to be queen. Mm-hmm. That story in itself is amazing, and then for her to last 70 years, that just tops it off. It's just
pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. Was the wealthiest landowner in the world.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
It's incredible. You
96 years.
96 years.
You should read some books.
You
Not
should
the
read
first
some
time
books.
someone said that to me.
Read some books.
Read a book there, Butto.
Speaking of money.
Speaking of
money!
We are back in business. It is September. Things are starting to heat up. We had a couple events last week, more events coming. I have a wedding this weekend, so I'm not going to be working much, but I will be at an event. And we have a couple in the books. But Paul served as Shinfield just this weekend. You had a show, man.
I did. I did a show for an arts center that I've been doing for several years, probably about 10 now. And it's a very small event. There's typically maybe 120 people that come, but on the tail end of COVID, we're going to try to slowly work our way back into this event. So we had a considerably scaled down event where we had 5 auction items in the silent. We had a wine grab. We had 7 items in the live auction, and we had a paddle race. We had a fun to need.
Cool.
And with 80 people in the room, they raised $180,000.
Whoa. Whoa.
So we got rid of some of the folks, well, maybe let me rephrase that because I don't want to offend anybody, but the people we did have in the room are the ones that typically show up and bid and support.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not just there to fill a seat to get a room full of people, but it was special because I know everybody so well, and it was great to see them. And I feel very honored to be able to go up there and do that because I'm just part of the family now, so it's really cool. But it was very successful being a scaled-back event that they planned in 2 months.
That's impressive.
Very impressive.
2 months, man. I mean, talk about working overtime, huh?
They did it. They pulled it together, and they came up with a really good idea. They didn't have a sit-down dinner. They had like charcuterie cheese trays.
You just say charcuterie.
Okay, I need to get more educated
You
on
just
that.
need to
but-
say they had charcuterie.
That's the royalty coming out. In
Yeah.
That's all you need to say. You don't need to say cheese charcuterie.
Okay, that's just assumed. Okay, done.
My
Just
brother-in-law
say
calls it a
charcuterie.
meat and cheese board. He refuses to use the word charcuterie.
Charcuterie is a cool word. I'm sorry.
And then
It's
they
fun
had
to say.
pre-made desserts, and everybody kind of went through buffet style, grabbed their plate, went out into where the stage area is, where they actually do the shows. They had catering. What do they call that type of seating? I just forgot. Dang it! Now I feel like an
Stadium
idiot.
seating?
Cabaret.
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 Yes, I forgot.
Welcome
Whoa.
Yes.
to see
Cabaret.
the
And if you're playing royalty
Welcome.
bingo, we now have cabaret and charcuterie.
Wow.
cabaret.
Feel like I'm at Fraser Castle.
Wow.
And it was just super fun, very intimate, very, very intimate. I'm right up there with them, sitting next to them, rubbing elbows.
That's
And I
cool.
know everybody, so it just created that atmosphere that was very giving. Even though we had a scaled back event, we typically will do about 250 at this event, but that's with 120 people and 30 items. We did 180 grand with 7 items and 80 people. So
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive. And the arts are alive and well. I know there's a lot of arts organizations that have been shuttered or really significantly impacted by COVID, not being able to have presentations. And there are a handful that are still making it happen. And it sounds like this one has a bright future. So good on you.
absolutely, yeah.
And part of the reason that we're seeing some of these arts organizations have issues is because everything seems a little bit more expensive than it has been in the past. When we go into these events, we're seeing that some of the vendors or providers of services are marked up pretty significantly, and it seems like things are just more expensive than they have been.
I would agree with you. Even going to the grocery store, it's incredible. You all see it and feel it. So what we have to do is find the workarounds now. So the workarounds of trying to keep it affordable for your guest as well as profitable for your organization, that's the balance that we struggle with, and we know you guys struggle with. So like in Polly's particular situation, to have fewer people there is one answer.
One solution, yeah.
It really is, because if you go
Yeah.
by the head and, just factor $100, right? Times 50. So you just, that $5,000 right there.
Right.
So you could really cut back by doing that. But I think that I worry sometimes that the inflation is post-pandemic, and I feel like we might get out of that a little bit, when it comes to service. So, these hotels and these restaurants and these catering companies went 2.5 years without really any gigs.
Lost all their business.
Lost all their business. So, the trickle-down method is really hitting the galas. because the people that are donating are giving less, things are costing more and things like that. So, we kind of have some ideas for some workarounds on that
and
a little
I
bit.
think like that is exactly what we're
Temporarily.
covering today, right? Our topic really has to do with expenses, right? So episode number 27, we're probably going to call it underwriting expenses or
We're still
something of that
deciding.
nature. But essentially what we wanted to get at is that everything is costing a little bit more going back into the ballroom. We talked with a national partner who was talking about a 15% increase in catering across the nation, as well as about a 20 to 15% increase in audiovisual services for the night of, right? So everything is more expensive. So as of today, what we want to do is we want to put a couple of tools into your toolbox in regards to underwriting or having some of these different expenses accounted for going into the event. Now, the reason this is a difficult topic for us is because it's so easy to get into the weeds on different
Oh my
specifics
gosh.
or intricacies. Like, we've probably had more conversation regarding this topic in preparation than we have many of our other topics, and that's just because we can go in so many directions. But we're going to try to pare it down and cover 3 strategies to get some of that overhead covered for the night of. Some of these strategies take place the day of, some of them take place beforehand, or it could take place after. So we're going to pop into those 3. If you want more content like this, or you want us to get into the weeds on any of these specific issues, let us know. Shoot us an email. We're doing a live Q&A next week, next Tuesday at 1 p.m., and next Tuesday would be the 20th, I believe. So if you want to join us for that, you're welcome to, or just shoot us a question. So with that said, we're going to be talking about underwriting expenses, 3 ways to get that done.
Yes. Way number 1.
1.
So you could underwrite the cost of the event. Now, I'm not super comfortable with that yet, but I'm getting there as we're talking that through. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. There's multiple ways to do that. In my opinion, you could do it for the following year, or you could tag it onto this year. So, Polly, like you said, it was on yours, an added percentage was added on to help cover X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
It's written right in the catalog. It
Right.
was on page 2 of the catalog. You're going to be charged a 10%. They called it an underwriter's fee.
And that's good
Yeah.
for that night. However, you don't want to shock your people either. So we're kind of going back and forth about, oh my gosh, which is better? Do you do it for, here's something that you can pledge or whatever, $100 for next year's event? Kind of give them the ramp up for it. Give them the time to let it soak in, as opposed to, like, I know myself, if I saw, when I see a kitchen fee on top of my bill, it makes me mad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if I was to know that going in, I would know I'm going to be paying that kitchen fee.
Yeah,
So maybe you do it for the following year.
And essentially what we're getting at here, and part of this difficulty in describing these is like underwriting is such a cool word, it's a big word, it's a specific word, it's kind of all over the place. But I mean, you've heard about underwriting for different things all over the nonprofit industry. We're talking about the expenses for the event. So one strategy that we've seen play out is that you go to an event, and when you get to the event, there's something printed in the catalog that says, hey, we're going to add 10%, 15, 20% to your final bill to cover total expenses for the night. That's scenario 1 that's playing out. But to your point, if you go into that situation and all of a sudden you're hit with a 20%, 10% increase on the back of your bill, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. So prep them for the next year. Kind of like your VIP tables almost, right? They see what's going on at the VIP table. We sell a VIP table. People want that VIP table for next year or whatever. But I think the underwriting for the following year is a better idea than that. However, that worked.
So but essentially what we're talking about is don't make it a surprise bill.
Do not surprise your guests.
I mean, I would even go as far as to say, put a sandwich board, right? Like, this is our registration table. This is where you're going to walk up and register. Hi, thanks for being here. Right here says there will be a 10% additional fee charged to your bill for tangible items to cover the costs of our event.
Okay.
Don't want people to be surprised by that.
Right.
10%, you don't buy anything.
Well, they're banking on you buying something.
Right, but you know what I'm saying?
I do.
You have,
But
that just popped into my
but
mind.
you could also add a minimum to it as well.
You
right?
you would have to add a
you could do
minimum
that.
to it, yeah.
So, I mean, there's different strategies here. I think
what
that
I'm
this
saying?
one isn't very popular
I do.
in terms of the majority of organizations we serve. We're bringing it up because it happened just recently. And it's something that we don't see very often.
But it's a brilliant idea.
It's a great idea, and it all comes down to training your audience or your group. Like, I can't tell you how much inherited knowledge comes year over year in these fundraising events. Like, for a long time, there were many communities that didn't do a call to action or a direct ask for funds. Back in the day when that was brand new, it was kind of cagey. The second, the third, the fourth year that something like that occurred, everybody got on board. Same thing is true here. So if you can implement this into your community and not get a lot of blowback, then you can implement it from the years to come, and it's just going to be how it works here, right? But that first year could be a
That's
little,
your challenge.
It's going to be rough.
Right,
Yeah.
it just cannot be a hidden fee, because we, all of us face that in regular society more than we ever did before. Just look at your cell phone bill.
Oh, yeah.
Hidden fees,
Oh,
Comcast,
they're all over the
everyone's
place, and
favorite.
all it does is create animosity in your mind. It's like, well, gee, that's not blah, 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 blah. Of course, you don't want that feeling to be instilled onto your donors at your event, because they'll simply just not come next year.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want. But we also want people to know that every dollar that they are giving that is part of the tangible item, I'm selling you this item, and you bought it for $100 at the live auction, your $100 is going to our school or our church or our charity. Now we're going to charge you another $10. That's going to cover the cost of putting the event on, just so you know.
Yeah, and the way that this was marketed was called an underwriting fee in this specific scenario. If you're more of an auction-focused individual, this is known as a buyer's premium, right? So when you go in and you buy something at a traditional auction, there's a buyer's premium on the back end where you just get charged because that's what it costs to buy an item at this location, right? So what they've done in this scenario is they've rebranded buyer's fee to, or buyer's premium, excuse me, to an underwriting fee. You could name it whatever you'd like. The beauty of the word underwriting is it kind of conveys quite a bit in a very quick manner. So I can see why they opted that way.
Another way might be to just ask one of your longtime supporters.
Yeah.
Shelby's been giving me $5,000 at my event for the last 8 years. Okay, well, my AV just went up, and now it costs me $5,000 to get all my AV stuff. Shelby, you go ask him, hey, instead of giving, $5,000 at the fund in need, which we definitely appreciate you doing, for this year, could you cover the cost of our AV? He's going to give you $5,000 anyway. Can you use it to offset your costs? That is what we were discussing here.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out.
And
Yeah,
that's
and we're getting
probably-
in the weeds here. Again,
Well,
it's
I
hard
think-
not to, right? Because we want what's best for every organization, for sure.
Right.
And we want these people to be able to underwrite or cover their expenses, and the expenses are going up, and it's BS, to be honest with you. But it is the way it is. It's happening.
Right.
And so our job is to try to help give you guys information for that. But we do. It's easy to get into the dang weeds
Yeah,
with
but
this.
I think
I know.
I think where Paul's trying to go is the second. So like number 2, if you have a listed home, 1, buyer's premium, guests get incurred. Option 2, have somebody specifically in your community underwrite specific expenses, right? So you have an expense, whatever it is, catering, AV, whatever. You have a person that's going to give X amount of dollars, pair those together. And then all of a sudden that donor can be the catering sponsor for tonight's event or whatever that may be, right? So it's a second option to kind of cover your expenses for the night,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
When your
no,
name gets
I like
plastered
it.
up on
Yeah.
the screen, or they
Yeah.
get say verbally over the microphone.
My only concern about this, and we jig back and forth, so this is good, right, is, it just popped in my mind. If we take $5,000 out of the fund to need that goes directly to the need, then is offsetting our auction become more important than what the need is?
See, but
Or are they
this
one
is
and
why
one?
this is why this
I mean, I'm just
conversation is
asking,
hard.
it is.
Right?
It's hard to.
So at the end of the day, in order to put on an event, you are going to incur expenses. Your job as a person trying to come up with a profitable event for the nonprofit
Covers many of
is
those.
to cover those expenses,
Yeah.
right? So yes, you could be taking a donation from the fund of need and reallocating it, but at the end of the day, now you're hoping for somebody else to come in and fill that donation, right? So you're trying to come into that ballroom at zero-sum game. In other words, when you hit that room, you hope that anything that's made in the live auction or during the paddle raise is all profit at that point.
Sure.
And more often than not, we can get to that point, but there's been times where it's been like, oh boy, we need to hit a certain number, or this isn't going to work out again,
Right.
which isn't a fun position to be in, but we have been in it before.
Well, what's another option, Shelby? Talk about the ticket,
So
reverse
the-
engineering your ticket price.
The third and final, the third suggestion that we have would be something that we call reverse engineering the ticket price. In other words, what you're going to do is you're going to go out and you're going to budget the expense for that night. That includes catering, that includes rentals, that includes AV, all your different auction components are going to be listed out. You're going to have a number at the end of the day. Say it's $10,000 to get all those pieces together. Then, once you figure out how many people that allows for, say 100 people, you then dictate your ticket price based on expenses and how many people you have. And then when you get that equation figured out, what you're going to have is you're going to have tickets that cost $150, and once you sell out 100 tickets, now you've either raised money or you've actually made it a zero-sum game to where the fundraising that night of can all be profit for the nonprofit. So the third option, reverse engineer those tickets. And it's the most common because you're able to kind of hide your expense. I don't know if that's the right way to put that. Hide the expenses isn't really what I want to say, but I mean, you're able to budget moving in, and that way you actually have lead time. Okay, I have 90 days to sell 200 tickets, or we can't have the lighting. You know what I
Right.
mean? You
Yeah.
can actually work that equation
Tangible.
on the timeline and understand
Right.
where you're going, right?
No, that's exactly right. Or find out who you have to go get that big donor number from.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some of your silent auction stuff ends up paying for it, or some of your live auction stuff ends up paying for it.
So I mean, at the end of the day, hopefully you can watch this and say, okay, here's 3 ways that we can underwrite or raise money in the lead up or during the event.
And if we gave you the idea that we don't agree on everything that we're talking about, you are absolutely correct.
We
However,
don't.
we have the best intentions here for you, and we want you to win.
All I do is win,
Win,
no
win,
matter
unless
win,
what.
win.
Unless
Woo,
it's specifically
woo, woo.
stated, you invite somebody to your event and the price is $150. Me as an attendee, I'm going to immediately think, okay, well, what am I getting for my $150? I want a really good meal and maybe a couple of drink tickets, right? And
Entertainment.
Maybe and some entertainment. Exactly. But if you lay it out there, hey, we're going to charge you $150, and here's where the $150 is going to go, I think giving people more information than less is going to be beneficial.
Agreed.
So people aren't surprised by,
Yeah.
well, I just gave $150 to be here, and now I'm having a charcuterie. And I don't get a free drink ticket. I don't get a free spin the wheel. I don't get anything.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's another rabbit hole we can go down there.
No,
I
I
mean,
know. I'm sitting here. My mind is going. Oh,
but I mean,
no.
at the end of the day, like, if you are in charge of a company or a nonprofit, like, your goal is to do good in the world. And there are people out there that have taken nonprofits and not done very chivalrous things with the funds that they've raised. They're out there. We've worked with some of them in the past, not knowing what we were getting into until after the fact, and we wish we would have seen it sooner. All that to say, to Polly's point, the more you can surface where these funds are going to and where the expenses are being allocated towards, the better off you are. But within that same breath, if you're going to say, we're going to put this money towards the playground, and the playground doesn't get built, you're going to have people to answer to. And that is not a fun place to be to. So really, that's not a fun place to be either. So really, take some thought and figure out how you're going to present this. Because at the end of the day, if I see a 10% charge on the back end, I want to know what it's for. And if they say, hey, it went to the night that we had tonight, it's like, okay, now I understand.
The other option is don't hit them with the 10% until they've had 3 or 4 glasses of wine, and then you have just somebody come around with a little pamphlet that says, oh, 10%.
Oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way. And then at registration, you let those people take the heat. You're out by now. You've done your deal. Go home. I'm totally kidding. But it was
It
be
could
funny.
even be
be something.
it could even be a rolling scale. I mean, 10% up to 20 grand.
Yeah.
20 to 50 grand is 7.5.
See, and
Or
so
even get
with-
away from
hey,
the percentage and go just say $10, $15, or $20.
You know what,
Which would you like to do? 10, 15, or 20? You mark a box. Which would you like to give?
See, so many ideas.
10,
we
15,
said 3.
20.
Now we're on 25.
I
if you're
feel like
counting
that
at
10,
home, we're now on
15, 20 is a
25
good
different
idea.
ideas.
Not a bad
You want to
idea.
hear the best part of this?
Do you like the 10, 15,
I
or
love
20?
the 10, 15,
So say
20.
it then. Go 10, 15, 20.
10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
There you go. See?
Okay, we did it. We did the thing.
Get the blade out of your mouth.
You can, okay, that's something that we say to
It's a
people
toy
now.
chainsaw.
That's not weird at all.
Grandson's in the house.
Oh, hey
Chewing on a chainsaw blade. It's a toy.
But
I'm
what I
kidding.
want to say is like, okay, here are 3 examples, if not more, of what you could do. Know that you don't have to do just one of these, right? You could do a little bit of all of this.
Yeah.
You could
Oh, yeah.
shoot to have the tickets be $100 because you want to do X, Y, and Z. You could also get Dawn to underwrite the catering because that would really help you. And then on top of everything, add a 2% buyer's premium on the back end to help offset the cost with everything else. So there's not one way to do this, which really makes this a very difficult conversation to put into a podcast or on video, but hey, we're up for the challenge. Because what we find in each and every community, things are a little bit different for everyone.
Yeah.
Some of these tactics are going to work for some, they're not going to work for others. Some of these won't work for any, for certain groups, none of these options will work, is what I'm trying to say. And maybe all 3 of these work for others. So it is a blend, it is a dance, and if you want to continue the conversation regarding ideas and thoughts like this,
Call
you
us.
can contact us and we'll happily have the conversation.
Yeah. I think something to also keep in mind is that people are going to a gala and it's for a nonprofit.
Correct.
I would say, and this is just me personally, 7 out of 10 of those people know why they're going. They're not going to care about the ticket price, right? They are there not just for the party. They are there for what the party's about.
Yep.
If you have done your job on the back end of educating them about why you want them to come. That all kind of factors in. If it's just you're blanketly inviting people, then yeah, we got to talk about these kinds of things. But if you're inviting the right people, these different things that we're talking about are those 3 out of 10 that are going to care about that.
You're
kind
right,
of
and
stuff.
that is the core of your supporters. They don't really care what, within reason. They don't want to be overcharged like anybody doesn't want to be overcharged for anything. But they're there to support you.
Yep.
So maybe you just put a mailer out and you ask people.
Yeah.
This is what we're thinking about doing because the costs of everything is just going up and up and up. We'd still like to be able to put our event on, but we'd also like some help trying to underwrite the costs. What do you guys think? Send us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't hurt to ask them.
No, it certainly can't.
No.
So,
Yeah.
again, we're in the weeds again.
It's all right. We're coming back. It is halfway through September. I know. I can't believe it either. At the end of September, we will be drawing for someone to get 15% off their final invoice from our company. So if you want to be a part of that, you need to turn in your contracts or sign up for services in the next 2 weeks.
And we have had a great
So,
turnout on that.
we really
We
have,
really
yeah,
have. Thank you
yeah.
guys for all of you, whoever have done it.
Thanks for your support. You
Thanks
know,
for your support.
this all started with a crazy idea of let's set up a camera and a microphone and record things, and now this is episode number 27.
What?
And things are moving. So we would not be able to do what we do without your support. So know that we truly do appreciate you being with us. Thanks for being with us
Absolutely. Thanks,
this
you
week
guys.
and every
All right.
week.
Go out, be bold, be creative.
Be courageous in
And-
everything.
And go do some good already.
All right, let's raise some money.
Let's do it.
Woo!
Have a good day, guys.
See ya.
Later.